SCP-031, aka What is Love? Due to the nature of the country that houses the site that O31 currently resides in, the potential of the object's location being leaked to the public is negligible. In addition, the country themselves is known to be directly cooperating with the Foundation in order to maintain physical security of the site, so long as the Foundation follows their directives, unless said instructions interfere with more important Foundation operations. O31 itself is an amorphous organism weighing over 7.5 thousand kilograms. In its current state, O31 has compromised most of the ductwork and maintenance infrastructure of the Ryuyong Hotel in Pyongyang, North Korea. At one point, nearly 75% of the 105 stories in the building was infected with its tendrils, though there have been measures to reduce its spread and influence, with those attempts being moderately successful. The tendrils themselves come to an end with a large ovoid structure nearly 2 meters in length. On some occasions, these structures will cause a psychological effect on any person who comes under its control, causing the victim to believe the tendril is someone who they previously had emotional attachments to in the past. The mass will then morph into said person and persuade the victim to let them stay and eventually establish physical contact, upon which the structure will digest the victim's body and harvest their brain into its center. As of now, there are at least crania within the tendril network, and all are still believed to be alive and potentially conscious. SCP-032, also known as Brother's Bride. SCP-032 is a Type F, or imperfect external resemblance, internally inconsistent, human simulacrum of currently unknown origins. It is composed of an outer shell of pigmented silicone, 5.5 millimeters thick, and various plastic fiber polymers, with the outward appearance of a Caucasian woman nearing the third decade of life. SCP-032's interior is composed entirely of liquid refined oil, lacking any skeletal or muscle system. Despite this, SCP-032 is capable of locomotion and speech. O32 possesses extreme adverse effects to any biological entity in its close vicinity not created, willfully influenced, manipulated by, or similarly relating to humanity. While the exact nature of these effects vary, O32's presence inevitably causes severe and irreparable damage to the ability of any living organism to exchange and or use energy. Wild flora loses its ability to photosynthesize or otherwise produce or consume energy. Fauna loses the use of its respiratory and digestive systems, etc. O32 was discovered sitting on the doorstep of the Inner Compound Foundation site near Slovakia. When questioned by Foundation security personnel, SCP-032 explained its anomalous effects and claimed it was there to be stored. SCP-033, also known as the Missing Number. SCP-033 appears as a field of complex mathematical symbols ranging from simple layman identifiable representations to those only interpretable by highly trained mathematicians. The quote-unquote sum of the symbols is equal to a previously unknown integer designated theta prime by Professor Hutchinson of intermediate value between redacted and redacted. As all modern mathematical calculations are performed lacking the knowledge or use of SCP-033, its introduction into any system organized without it begins eroding the numerical and eventually structural integrity of said system. This effect extends to O33's transfer to any paper-like, defined as paper, vellum, papyrus, or canvas surface, not possessing O33-safe dimensions or any computing or recording device it is input into. If inscribed on any other material, O33 fades into unintelligibility in precisely 2560 seconds. There is currently no O33-safe specifications for electronic storage. An expunged amount of operational research projects involving O33 are dedicated to finding such a method for electronic storage. An expunged amount of operational research projects are dedicated to the application of SCP-033 as a neutralizing factor for potentially hostile, machine logic-based SCP objects. SCP-034, also known as Obsidian Ritual Knife. SCP-034 is a primitive knife constructed out of pure obsidian. Tests reveal that SCP-034 is approximately 1,000 years old. Despite its crude method of construction and age, O34 is still incredibly sharp and requires no maintenance to retain its edge. Expert analysis hypothesizes that SCP-034 may be of South American origin and that it may have been used in Native American rituals. SCP-034 has the ability to allow its bearer to take on the appearance of another individual. If SCP-034 is used to cut a piece of flesh from a living individual, and that piece of flesh is placed against the skin of another individual, the second individual would take on not only the appearance, but all physical characteristics of the first individual. Testing has shown that the minimum amount of skin required can be as little as 1 square centimeter. Analysis of O34's ability shows that its method of mimicking another individual is nearly flawless. Not only does SCP-034 change its bearer's physical appearance, but their actual physical attributes as well, including height, weight, muscle mass, bone density, hair growth, eyesight, strength, physical medical conditions, and even DNA. The only physical traits that are not carried over in the transformation process are wounds caused by O34 itself. Subjects still retain their original personality and memories while transformed. Even though the process is nearly instantaneous, taking only a few seconds, human test subjects have described the transformation process as extremely painful. However, in order to function properly, the individuals who have their flesh cut off by O34 must still be biologically alive to maintain the transformation. SCP-035, also known as the Possessive Mask. SCP-035 appears to be a white porcelain comedy mask, although at times it'll change to tragedy. In these events, all existing visual records, such as photographs, video footage, even illustrations of SCP-035 automatically change to reflect its new appearance. A highly corrosive and degenerative viscous liquid constantly seeps from the eye and mouth holes of SCP-035. Anything coming into contact with this substance slowly decays over a period of time, depending on the material, until it has decayed completely into a pool of the original contaminant. Glass seems to react the slowest to the effects of the item, hence the construction choice of its immediate container. Living organisms that come into contact with the substance react much the same way, with no chance of recovery. Origin of the liquid itself is unknown. Liquid is only visible from the front, and does not emerge or is even visible from the other side. Subjects within 1.5 to 2 meters or 5 to 6 feet of SCP-035 or in visual contact with it experience a strong urge to put it on. When SCP-035 is placed on the face of an individual, an alternate brainwave pattern from O35 overlaps that of the original host, effectively snuffing it out and causing brain death to the subject. The subject then claims to be the consciousness contained within SCP-035. The bodies of possessed subjects decay at a highly accelerated rate, eventually becoming little more than mummified corpses. Conversations with O35 have proven to be informative, with researchers having learned various details about other SCP objects and history in general. as SCP-035 claims to have been at many momentous events in history. SCP-035 displays a highly intelligent and charismatic personality, being both amiable and flattering to all those who speak with it. However, psychological analysis has discovered SCP-035 to possess a highly manipulative nature, capable of forcing sudden and profound changes to interviewers' psychological state. SCP-035 has proven to be highly sadistic, prompting some to commit suicide and transforming others into near mindless servants with linguistic persuasion alone. SCP-036, also known as the Reincarnation Pilgrimage of the Yazidi. SCP-036 includes the location Site-22A, a small airport in the Mosul region of northern Iraq, and Site-22B, the destination of passengers boarding at Site-22A. The key components of SCP-036 are the arrival flight, the pilgrims themselves, the pilgrimage flight, and Site-22-B. The arrival flight itself is a passenger plane that varies in make and model from year to year that arrives shortly before dawn on September 23rd. It appears on radar about 30 to 40 kilometers away from Site-22-A. When it lands, the quote-unquote pilgrims exit the plane and enter the terminal. No crew have ever left the plane. The pilgrims themselves are the people of the Yazidi faith that exit the arrival plane, who are said to be undergoing the Kiras Guhorin. Each year, they are examined and identified as various people of the Yazidi faith that have died during the previous year. This is done through birth certificates, photo IDs, specific knowledge questions, and when possible, fingerprinting. The pilgrimage flight itself is a passenger plane provided by SCP personnel for the transport of the pilgrims. It is manned by a crew of trained Yazidi holy men. The crew are typically never able to elaborate upon details of the pilgrimage or what the process of the Kiras Guhorin actually is. SCP equipment on board function optimally, but recorded data will only slightly increase our understanding of the pilgrimage each year. Site-22-B itself is the destination of the pilgrimage plane. It is a small airport consisting of a runway and single building located at coordinates redacted. It has only been observed by pilgrimage crew and cameras on the plane. It does not appear on satellite images, and attempts to reach it on foot have failed, once with disastrous results. Cameras have trouble focusing on the area, as the heat from the ground usually causes a mirage-like visual effect on all objects more than a few dozen meters from the plane. A flyover with an SCP reconnaissance plane several weeks before the pilgrimage revealed undeveloped land and what looked like an ancient stone statue. SCP-037, also known as Dwarf Star. SCP-037 appears to be a star approximately 5 centimeters or 2 inches in diameter, with a luminosity of about 1 times 10 to the negative 12th power times that of our Sun, and a surface temperature of about 5,000 Kelvin, determined by UBVRI analysis. The origin of SCP-037 is unknown. However, analysis suggests it shares many properties in common with a typical main sequence star, other than its anomalously small size. It is theorized to have entered the Earth's magnetosphere via the North Magnetic Pole. Containment and transport of SCP-037 have been achieved by the use of powerful electromagnets, to which the artifact aligns itself according to its own magnetic field. The primary challenge to containment thus far has been its powerful electromagnetic emissions, which are intense enough to be easily seen by the naked eye from high Earth orbit. SCP-038, also known as the Everything Tree. SCP-038 was found on an abandoned farm in New York in 19. It was at first thought to be a common apple tree. However, upon closer inspection, it became apparent that SCP-038 was growing things other than apples, and in fact, other than fruit. SCP-038 has the ability to clone any object that touches its bark. Objects begin growing almost instantaneously and reach maturity within a matter of minutes. A weight limit of 90.9 kilograms or 200 pounds per object has been previously recorded. Objects that SCP-038 has thus far cloned include apples, oranges, watermelons, eggplants, candy bars, snack foods, televisions, toasters, laptops, keys, chairs, wine, DVDs, CDs, cats, dogs, and people. SCP-039, also known as monkey brain. SCP-039 consists of 23 proboscis monkeys, Nasalis larvatus, which have been subject to radical anatomical changes. These changes include complete removal of eye/eye cavities and mouth openings with smooth skin in their places, removal of digestive system, enhancement to auditory, olfactory, and tactile senses, which are used to enhance their environmental awareness in the absence of sight, and intelligence enhancements. SCP-040, also known as Evolution's Child. SCP-040 is a human child capable of at-will manipulation of the physical characteristics of living organisms. Modified organisms are collectively referred to as SCP-040-1. Modifications are primarily cosmetic, ranging from simple color and pattern changes to more involved shifts in bodily form and structure. The creation of new specialized organs is possible, but appears to be the limit of SCP-040's ability and currently has a 66% failure rate in testing. SCP-040's anomalous property requires significant focus and time to enact and causes intense headaches and nausea when performed for more than a few minutes at a time. The effect becomes increasingly unreliable and inaccurate the smaller the modifications or more complex the changes are. SCP-040 is incapable of altering microscopic organisms and has great difficulty in altering plant life. Dead organic matter may also be used, but must be used in conjunction with a living organism. SCP-040's emotional state is within acceptable boundaries for an individual of its age group, accounting for the effects of prolonged containment and parental separation. Subject's intelligence is slightly above average for its age group. Behavior is generally cooperative. SCP-040 acclimatized quickly to containment and responded well to the initial orientation and socialization programs. 040 responds to the name 40 and does not appear to have any other given or chosen personal name. Thank you so much for listening, researcher. This is Index Terminal 1, signing off.